We're still in the midst of Sukkah, and we'll be in the midst of Sukkah for a number of days. Sukkah is a 7-day celebration plus an 8th day, speaking of eternity. And this is one of those festival feasts, Kirk, that is very clearly defined. Yahowah leaves absolutely no question as to what the purpose of this day is, because he not only describes it as Sukkah shelters, as camping out, but he then uses the verbal root of Sukkah to express what the purpose of the day is, and on top of all of that, constantly reinforces this, the purpose of it, which is to come into his presence, particularly the maternal aspect of his spiritual light, and to answer his invitation on this day, constantly reinforcing that this day is all about the Shabbat and what the Shabbat represents. So this is one of those days, if you're observant, you are going to figure it out.
Be hard to miss this.
Yeah, it'd be hard to miss it. I guess everything is easy to miss if your eyes aren't open, if your mind's not open. But if your eyes and mind are open, it's clear that what Sukkah represents. And of course, the trouble with all of that is that there isn't a Christian on the planet that celebrates Sukkah. They claim that they're an Abrahamic religion, as does Islam. Both claim that the Torah were inspired by God.
Mm-hmm.
And yet God says that Sukkah is his invitation for us to be together, and he proclaims that it is eternal, forevermore.
Even when churches teach it, like ours did, we didn't teach it as something that was necessary to still do. It was more historical. This is what God said to them, so to speak. They frame it so it's not important to the Christian to do.
Well, it's interesting, because to them, who was Moshe told to speak to?
The children of Israel.
Okay, and in Jeremiah 31, who's the audience? Who are the people that are going to be reconciled and reaffirmed in the covenant?
Good point. I think it's it's Israel. And,
right. Yahowah, Israel. And, So it's Israel again.
Yeah.
And so if he is going to reaffirm his covenant with Israel, and he's speaking about this day with Israel, how can anybody in their right mind say that, well, he was speaking to them and not us?
Throughout the entire history, the Goyim, that the Gentiles that were in and involved with these people had the option to join these people, and that's what the call is to the Gentile is, you can be adopted.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Passover. There's a specific instruction on Pesach for how to be included. If you want to be adopted, if that's your choice, very specific instructions. You're welcome.
Yeah, I spoke to different people from different races and different times.
Right. So if a Goyim Gentile wants to be like Yisrael and listen to Yahowah's testimony and be part of his family, they're welcome with open arms. However, Israel is told, don't ever welcome the ways of the Gentiles. Right. So you can accept individuals so long as they embrace the ways that I am sharing with you, but you are advised never to do what they do, to accept what they do. And yet, what has happened? Exactly the opposite.
All of the above, yeah.
Yeah. So here we are. Let's just kind of go through this quickly just to reinforce where we are. And it says, and Yahowah spoke to Moshe, the one who draws out, for the purpose of saying, speak to, use words to communicate with the children of Israel. On the 15th day of the 7th month, time of renewal, is a festival feast of shelters, of camping out with God for 7 days in proximity to and association with Yahowah. Boy, the introduction of this, we've got 2 Yahowahs, don't we? Well, we got 1 Yahowah, but Yahowah
but double dose.
Yeah, and Yahowah spoke, and this is shelters is in association with Yahowah. Did he say that it was an association with Israel, or is he just talking to Israel about their association with Yahowah?
They converse with the children of Israel.
Yeah, so converse to them, tell them this, because this is a time to be in proximity to approach Yahowah.
Invite them.
Invite them. Invite them to approach Yahowah. And it is a festival feast, the ultimate concept of holiday. And yet, so Yahowah is telling us that the seventh of seven of these Moed Mikre, of these invitations to meet with him, takes place in the 7th month. And he's soon to tell us, in fact, he told us in this opening statement that it lasts 7 days. Do you think that maybe he's got a fixation on 7?
Well, he teaches well. He's consistent in his teaching. I'll say that.
Yeah. The 7 is the result. 7 is it's the answer. It's
where you find rest.
The sum. Yeah. It's in Hebrew. The word 7 means to rest and reflect. It also means to promise. So Sukkah is about resting and reflecting forever with Yahowah, based upon 6 + 1, man in addition to God, being forever. And so this is a pretty straightforward statement. On the first and foremost day, there is a set-apart invitation to be called out and to meet. So Sukkah is an invitation from the Creator of the universe, from God Almighty. It is a special day to be called out and to meet. Why is it then that so few people do it? Less than a tiny fraction of 1% of the world's people.
Well, they're not told. They're not. The invitation was given by Moshe to them, so somebody had to take it and go give it to them. And our invitation, of course, is written in 100 million books that you can open up and still see this, even though it's poorly translated into English. But nobody, and there's about 1 million preachers running around all the time, and they claim they know all this stuff and they want to teach us, and they don't say anything about it. So it's obviously nobody teaches it, nobody digs it out much, if any, and they don't care, or don't believe it if they hear it.
Don't care. It doesn't. It doesn't enrich them. It doesn't empower them. It doesn't get people in their pews, and it doesn't cause their collection dishes to
rattle.
To rattle. So they don't teach it. In fact, if they did, they'd find that most people are anti-Semitic. They don't want to listen to the God of the Old Testament. They don't like the God of the Old Testament. They don't like his testimony. They don't like his way. They don't like anything to do with him, and they most certainly don't like his people.
So how does that happen that people become anti-Semitic when they're teaching embrace everybody? How do you throw that out? Like you can embrace everybody, but we don't like these people.
It's the hypocrisy of political correctness. And their antagonism towards hate speech when the most hateful speech comes from them. And when they hate speech that isn't their own, it's just pure hypocrisy. Now, the reason, of course, that politics and religion are anti-Semitic is Yahowah chose one people to communicate his testimony through. Hasatan, by being adverse to them and by having crafted religion and politics to serve his interests, has crafted both to be anti-Semitic, to nullify the voice and the credibility of Yahowah's chosen people. When it's a brilliant move, really. If you associate Yahowah's testimony with the messengers who deliver it, and you cause people to hate them, then who's going to listen to the message that God is conveying? There's a reason that God spoke of the descendants of Abraham, and that I will bless those who bless thee, and I will trifle with and ignore those who curse thee. It has all to do with, are you open to and receptive to what Yahowah said through these people? For 7 days, by the way, Yahowah had to choose one people to speak through. It was essential for him to choose one people to speak through. If he had chosen the whole world and he chose everybody to speak through, it would be Babel. A mess, a confusion.
One voice.
Yeah, one voice, one message. One people, one family. One Torah. One way. One God. For 7 days approach and come near the maternal manifestation of the light of Yahowah. On the 8th day there exists a set-apart invitation to meet on behalf on your behalf, I should say. And you should answer and respond to the invitation and present yourself before the one who purifies, enlightens, and elevates unto Yahowah. So it's all about coming into the presence of the set-apart spirit, our spiritual mother, the feminine manifestation of Yahowah's light. We do it for 7 days, and on the 8th day, there is an invitation to appear again, because why? What does 8 represent?
Eternity.
That's right.
Let me just suggest something that happened a few minutes ago. I was breaking down Sukkah's letters again.
Yeah.
And just making sure I got everything. And it's interesting if I may.
Please.
Okay. Sukkah, of course, is a shemach, or S sound, which is a drawn like it's a fence made out of thorns.
Right.
So
it speaks of separation.
Right, separation, but it also speaks of protection as well.
Right.
Because this is a safe place for the sheep to be when the herd is through this together real quickly. And then, of course, the wah is pretty straightforward. It's the increase of something. You enlarge the tent because you have more people in the tent. So we
or increase or improve, enhance the protection.
Yeah, enhance the protection, sturdy. So all those factors go into it. And then, of course, you have a K, which is a hand that allows you to this meeting and greeting, welcoming, if you like, and also you can see even the hand is able to do things because God does things, metaphor for God doing things. But then I was interested on the hay, the last one. Not only is that just, say, people looking up at him, beholding, but also it's in a feminine position. And I thought, well, is that not also the Ruach Kodesh?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's the one of one that ends with the H, which makes it feminine.
And made in Greece the Ruach Kodesh. So it's a little deeper than I thought.
Yeah, she is the shepherd, or is the shelter. And so Sukkah, even the word is feminine. And Yahowah goes on and on, talking about, don't engage in any of the work of the spiritual messenger. In fact, here he's writing her, joyous assembly of people, Asherah, which is also feminine. Do not engage in any of the work of the feminine heavenly messenger. Malaka. Malaka is malak, which is the Hebrew word for spiritual messenger, and in the it's feminine. Yahowah has a maternal aspect of his nature, and this is her day. She is the covering.
Right.
The metaphor of Sukkah is she is the covering.
Yeah.
By the way, a covering would be really handy right now. If you live anywhere on the eastern seaboard of the United States, this is a Category 3 becoming Category 4 storm, and the tracks of it, show it anywhere from impacting South Carolina with the eye all the way up to New York with the eye.
Are your people safe on the farm?
We got more rain in the last few days than any time since we had a hurricane go right over us about 10 to 15 years ago. And so serious water issues there, and trees having been down by just saturated soil. So it all depends on where the water comes from this storm. But several of the tracks have to go right over, literally right over Central Virginia. So there's if you look at the current projections, there are like 15 different models, maybe 20, and the models have it go all the way from right out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to many models intersecting over New York and Boston area, and others that it hits right in the middle of South Carolina. So, boy, nobody knows on this one, but it's this is.
Well, it talked last night like it was going to dissipate as it got closer to the thing, which happens sometimes. But according to what you're saying, well, it's getting stronger. It's supposed to go down to 3 and a 2.
Yeah, well, right now it's between a 3 and a 4. So it's serious.
That's strong.
Yes. So Yahowah doesn't want us doing the work of our spiritual mother, and that is so this idea of Christian evangelism, where you go out and you cause people to be born again. We don't do that. That's her job, and it doesn't come from Christianity. This is something that our spiritual mother does on our behalf, and everything here is feminine. It's her joyous assembly of people, her, feminine. Assembly of people, Asherah, feminine. Do not engage in any of the work of the heavenly messenger, Malaka, feminine. I think it's really tough for people to see God as having a maternal aspect of his nature.
Yeah, he's been on the throne dictating as a lord over everybody for so long in their mind. It's just it's very tough to turn the corner on that one.
Yeah, of course. Muslims see their God as a terrorist, and from the perspective of the only one who spoke for him, Muhammad, as a masculine deity, and the Christians see him from the perspective of their Jesus Christ, another God made in the image of man, and so it's difficult for most people to recognize that Yahowah has a maternal and paternal nature. He is our heavenly Father, but he sets apart a part of his nature, part of his energy, as the set-apart spirit for to perform the full aspect of family. A family doesn't exist without a father and mother. That's why Yahowah has both.
Yes, the glue that holds the family together, isn't it?
Yeah. Without a father and mother, you don't have a family. And so Yahowah created us in his image, male and female. He created us. Doesn't seem to resonate with people. They just, even women, don't like the idea of God having a feminine nature. But he does, just as he has a masculine nature. Matter of fact, his name, Yahowah, ends with the feminine letter that makes a name feminine.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm all for the idea of having not only a spiritual heavenly father, but a spiritual mother. It makes it makes God more complete, more nurturing, more approachable, more loving, more like us, really, right? So it's marvelous, and we're going to continue to speak of this day devoted to the set-apart spirit. Kirk, during the break, I was reading an article, just to show you how stupid humans are. There was this fellow whose family said was intelligent and creative. Well, they found he's been missing for 7 years. They found his decomposed body in the chimney of his log cabin. And so we were talking about, okay, so you locked your keys inside your log cabin. You've got an option. You can call a locksmith. You can pry the door open. You can break a window and open it, or you can shimmy down the chimney.
Chimney would not. I'm claustrophobic. That would never happen.
I wouldn't think of the chimney. I don't know how you get it out.
Too much Santa Claus stories?
Too much Santa Claus. Can you imagine being that dumb?
Well, now I have to assume his parents are liars. Because they say he was smart.
They said he was smart and creative.
Wait a minute, 7 years nobody went to the cabin and lit a fire?
The guy that actually owned the cabin said, it kind of had a bad smell, but...
Oh, God, that's horrible.
Oh, my. It's kind of like Christians here. Yahowah tells us, I'm the door. He establishes the door, which is Passover. His opening statement to humankind says that the doorway is in the Torah, and that the doorway is narrow, and there's only one of them that leads to life. And with all of his emphasis on the doorway that is Passover, that leads to his home, which is Sukkah, why is it that nobody wants to walk through the door?
Why do you leave an invitation unclaimed?
Yeah, here's the invitation to walk through the doorway to heaven.
Ain't a good enough deal for you?
Yeah, you don't like it. Can't get it. Does it appeal to you? Yeah, you think there's a better way than the doorway that God provided to eternal life? I guess so. Let's shimmy down the chimney and pretend like we're Santa Claus. Yahowah said these godly and specific, which is Elia, which is also feminine, appointed and designated meeting times, moed, assemblies, set by the authority for a specific purpose, are of Yahowah. So he has used mikre, chog, and moed to describe Sukkah. So chog tells us it's a party, it's a celebration. Mikre tells it's an invitation to be called out and meet. And moed says that this is a meeting for a specific purpose designated by the authority. How much more does God have to say before you get... Wait a minute, we've been invited to meet with God.
Well, you have to read it. That's where
I guess so.
Yeah.
You better read it with an open mind. Receptive, right? Yeah. I think that's why God says, if you don't come to know Him and respect Him, there's just no way that you're going to pay attention to this and care about what He has to say. And by the way, was this, again, this godly and specific meeting with the Jews? Was it with Israel?
Israel.
No, she said this is of Yahowah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, this is of Yahowah.
I said who? I thought you meant who is it being offered to?
Of Yahowah. Yahowah was written in the possessive form. Yeah.
Yahowah's invitation.
These are the godly and specific appointed meeting times are of Yahowah, which Asher, relationally, beneficially, kara. So if you didn't know what mikra meant, well, here's the verb, kara. You were invited to attend. You're invited to attend, to be called out, to read and recite, accordingly as set apart mikre. So kara defines mikra, in the plural mikre, for the purpose of coming near and approaching, karab. Oh, so the purpose is coming near and approaching Isha, the feminine manifestation of Yahowah's light.
Mom.
Yeah, to approach Yahowah. He says this is a gift. In the Sermon on the Mount, he's talking about the gift of the doorway, and he says, the gift is the doorway, the gift is the Torah. He's saying this is the gift of Yahowah. The gift of Yahowah is not grace, it's not salvation. Yeah, it's an invitation into His home. The gift of Yahowah is the invitation into His home.
And He provides the cleanser to get you in there, too.
Which is the set-apart spirit. It says a gift which elevates, olah, rises up. A reconciling sacrifice, a zivach, a substitute that's presented for atonement and forgiveness. And also a pouring out of the word, debar. A day for His day. This is His day, Yahowah's day. And when he's talking about that mikre as a whole, they are a gift to us. They elevate us to God's status. They reconcile us. The pouring out of the word. That's how you celebrate these.
Yeah, you didn't say read and recite.
Right. Yeah, and a pouring out, isn't the word the verb upon which Torah is based, yara?
Yeah.
Pouring out?
Absolutely.
And it's the pouring out of instruction and guidance. In this particular case, it's the pouring out of the word. And this is the day for His day. And he says, as part of the Shabbats of Yahowah, as part of your contribution to the relationship, as part of all of your vows and promises, as part of your expression of your freedom to choose, racially, relationally, and beneficially, give yourself to Yahowah. Is there any more poignant conclusion or advice from God than this?
You know, somebody asked me that it's a shame people don't call up and argue with you more, so they can get a different point of view. But and I'm trying, but you know, this is pretty dadgum straightforward. If I want to argue with you, I'm not exactly sure. And I used to be a pretty good debater in high school and college. I don't know where the heck I would argue about it. I mean, he doesn't leave any room for this is what it is.
Right.
So basically, all you can do is reject it. You can't really argue with it. What's wrong with it?
It's not arbitrary. And as you know, I have no problem with you or anyone challenging my translations. I have no problem with you or anyone challenging the connections that I make between things that Yahowah says. I don't have any issue with you or anyone challenging the conclusions that are drawn from this. But if you're going to challenge what I've just shared, then who are you challenging?
Yeah, well, but how are you going to challenge it? I mean, he talks so straightforward. This is what I want. This is an invitation. I want you to respond to the invitation. He's got references here to everything that happened at Passover and Muslim, Bukharum and adoption and family. He tells you who's making the invitation, who should be responding to the invitation, what's required. Pick up the invitation and come party with us. What am I going to say back to you? Gosh, you really blew that.
Yeah. Well, you know, the issue is that it's Yahowah's invitation. If you don't like it, who are you opposed to? If you're rejecting it, who are you opposed to? You're not opposed to me, right? You're not rejecting me. Not debating with me. You're rejecting him. You're debating him. And let's just say that you don't like Yahowah's plan. That's okay.
Yeah, there are lots of plans out there.
There are lots of plans out there. Choose another one. See where it gets you. You know, Yahowah's just laying it out. This is, and he's as straightforward. He is, I think, more straightforward on Sukkah because it's the summation. And this statement, he's summarizing in the last. He's summarizing all of the mikre. That's why he used mikre as plural here, not in the singular form. Talking about all of them, and he's now equating the mikre to the Shabbats.
Yes, we're reviewing that.
As part of the Shabbats. So the mikre and the Shabbats are all integrated. The Shabbat, the 6+1 plan, where on the seventh day we rest and reflect. He's saying the mikre are the same thing, but on the seventh day, that the 6 days, we engage and we walk to Yahowah so that on the seventh we can rest and reflect in his presence. That the mikre are identical to the Shabbat. That's how he begins this. Look at the mikre the same way you would look at the Shabbat. There are 6 days for you to engage and for you to act upon these invitations that I have provided so that on the seventh you can rest and reflect with me.
Well, there's not a word in here that I haven't looked up in multiple sources. You couldn't translate it any differently.
Right. You know, it's part of. Men labat. That means it's part of. The Shabbats. Shabbat in Hebrew. Days of promise. The days to cease your ordinary work. Of Yahowah. So far, there's nothing here that you could interpret, translate any other way. Of Yahowah. As part of, men, labat. Your contribution to the relationship. Matana. That which you give for the benefit or good of the relationship. Boy, isn't that just getting right down to the essence? This is a relationship. If you want to engage in a relationship, you have to act. You have to contribute to it. A one-sided relationship is worthless.
If he wanted a religion, he would have said, and all that entails, he would have said so. This is pretty straightforward.
How long could you love your wife if she never responded?
Well, you would leave.
Yeah.
Mentally or physically or both.
Right. Yeah. In fact, wouldn't it go from loving your wife go from something that was positive to something that was incredibly draining and frustrating and detrimental to your mental health if you continued to try to demonstrate your love towards her if she didn't respond? It's a negative thing. So in a relationship, you need to respond as part of your contribution to the relationship. We both contribute to the relationship. Our contribution is our getting to know Yahowah, acting upon the terms and conditions of the covenant, observing what he had to say thinking about it so that we act upon it, that we engage in this relationship. That is our contribution to it. If we don't, it's not a relationship. It has no merit. So God is part of the Shabbats, of this, recognize the Mikra and the Shabbat are one concept of Yahowah. And as part of your contribution to the relationship, as part of Wa'amen Labad, Kol, all of your Nadar, vows, your promises.
Promises.
Right. When we act upon the Mikra, we answer the invitations to meet with God. When we come to know the 5 terms and conditions of the covenant and respond to them, isn't that our vow?
Mm-hmm. That's pretty. Yeah, you're absolutely pledging. This is the deal.
This is.
I'm shaking your hand on the contract.
Yeah, exactly. I'm reaching up, and I'm shaking your hand on the contract. I accept, as part of your promises, of your vows, of your expression, of your freedom to choose. Nabada. God gave us this opportunity.
Free will again. Yeah.
Free will. But as part of our free will, he's saying, as your contribution to the relationship and of your vow, as an expression of your free will.
Yada?
Yes, sir.
May I say something about this last statement? Just glancing over it. If you've got Shabbat, a promise. You've got Nadar, a promise. You've got Matana, which is a gift. You've got Natan later, which is a gift. Nathan. You've got Nadaba, which is free will, volitional. You can volunteer to do this. It's all out of your heart when what your decision is. You have Asher relationship. And then you've got Yahowah, which if you extrapolate it a minute, you've got someone reaching down to lift up and increase the family.
Yeah, you've also got 2 min labads to be part of.
Yeah, to be part of.
Yeah, do you want to be part of the Shabbat? Do you want to be part of the relationship? Do you want to be part of the promise? Do you want to be part of Yahowah?
But what it tells you is what Yah is totally about and what he's like.
Yeah.
So this concept that comes from Paul, this is a mean old God that we don't want anymore. You can't get it from this. And this is a pretty important, I mean, this is his big day. He already said, this is my big day, my day of days.
Yeah, this is his big day, Sukkah, camping out with humankind.
So he's telling you what he's been looking for all this time, and he's never been inconsistent.
The results of history.
Now, this ain't the Lord.
The conclusion of creation.
Yeah.
Is Sukkah. Yeah, it's the formula and the basis of the Shabbat, the 7th day. It's the purpose of everything. It's the reason he created the universe, is to be able to camp out with us, to shelter us, to contribute to us, to contribute to the relationship. So he's now said, these are the contributions I've made to the relationship. And now he said, it's in your interest, to your benefit, if you want to be part of this relationship, if you want to be part of the promise, then you should, of your own free will, give yourself to Yahowah. That's what we do when we accept the terms and conditions of the covenant. Say, I want to be adopted into his family. Aren't you giving yourself to your heavenly father and spiritual mother at that point, saying, yeah, adopt me?
Yeah, I mean, tell that to some kid in an orphanage.
Yeah. Yeah.
No question there. I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah. Well, you know, it's for those of us who didn't grow up in an orphanage, but didn't have the world's best parents. Man, what a deal. The creator of the universe wants to adopt me. He wants me to be part of his family. He has a gift that he's providing and offering by way of these Moed Mikra. And all I have to do is answer the invitation. Wow. And so he's not saying give yourself to Israel. He's not saying give yourself to religion. He's not saying give yourself to your country. He's not saying give in to
join the military and defend the world.
No, he's saying as part of the promise of Yahowah, as part of the contribution to the relationship, as part of all of your promises, and as part of your expression of your freedom to choose, relationally and beneficially. Dedicate yourself and trust yourself to Yahowah. That's what, the first three statements that Yahowah makes, in fact, the first four really are this. Perhaps you could even summarize them in the first five. The first is, rather than give yourself to your country and to trust and rely on your country, walk away from it. First condition of the covenant. Number two is to trust and rely on Yahowah. That's what he means by give yourself to him. And trust him. Trust and rely on Yahowah. The second condition of the covenant. The third is to walk to him and become perfect. That's this 7-step plan. That's part of his promise, the Shabbat, the Moed Mikre. Walk to him and become perfect. And number four is to observe the terms and conditions of the covenant. The covenant has us accepting the reality that we need to walk away from human protection into God's protection.
Right.
And so it's the fifth of the five conditions for the covenant, our handshake, because there are 5 fingers on our hand. The fifth, as part of our handshake with Yahowah, accepting the deal, is to display the sign of the covenant, to be separated from the rest of the world and unto him. And then Yahowah, who reaches down with his open hand to us, with Sukkah, which is a hand, by the way, the hand of God, there are 5 benefits that we receive: immortality, perfection, adoption, enrichment, and empowerment. All given to Yahowah when we express our free will in this regard.